While I was unconscious in a hospital bed fighting for my life, my wife Dana drained every cent from our joint account. I woke up to a single message from her: I deserve this. No explanation. No remorse, just betrayal. But she had no clue that I'd already made one decision that would change everything, and she wasn't ready for what came next. I'm Cameron Doyle, 45, truck driver for over 2 decades. Never glamorous, but it paid the bills and gave Dana the life she liked bragging about. Designer handbags, spa weekends, white quartz countertops. I didn't care. I just wanted her to feel secure and maybe proud. For weeks, I'd been ignoring this tightness in my chest. Figured it was just stress, long hours, cheap gas station food, and too much caffeine. But then somewhere outside Omaha the pain hit like a freight train. I pulled over and called 911 myself. I barely remember the helicopter, just flashing lights, gasps from the paramedics, and the ER doctor's voice fading. We're losing him. 2 days later, I opened my eyes to hospital beeps, a throat like sandpaper, and a nurse smiling too wide. You're lucky, she said, flatlined twice, but you came back. Lucky. I didn't feel lucky when I grabbed my phone and saw one single message from Dana. It wasn't, "Are you okay?" It wasn't, "I'm here." It was a screenshot of our bank account. Balance, $0. Below it, I deserve this. After everything I've done for you. $61,438.72. Gone. Every penny I'd saved for retirement, emergency repairs, even truck maintenance, all wiped clean while I was dying. I stared at the screen for a long time. No anger, no screaming. Just empty. I hit reply and sent one emoji. That was it. When the doctor came in, he said the words I didn't want to hear: no driving for at least 6 weeks. Rest. No stress. He asked if someone would pick me up. I lied. Yeah, my wife. That night, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in months. My brother Jeff, construction foreman. Divorce. No BS. Need a place to crash. I said. You got it. You okay? She took everything. He paused. Does she know you're alive? She knows. She just doesn't know I'm not coming home. The next day, Jeff picked me up in his old Chevy and brought me to his house on the other side of town. He made me a sandwich. I didn't touch it. I just sat there, thinking about the house I had bought, the refinance I'd done solo 3 months earlier because Dana was too busy to come. The paperwork had only my name. She never asked. Or the medical power of attorney I'd signed the year before after seeing what happened to my buddy when his girlfriend couldn't legally speak for him. I'd made my niece, Megan, my emergency contact, law student, smart as hell. Jeff broke the silence. So what now? I rest, I said, and then I get everything back. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there, staring at the ceiling, connecting dots I'd ignored for years. The locked phone, trips with friends I'd never met, new passwords, money shuffling for better interest rates. Nah, she'd been planning something, and I'd been too tired to see it. 3 days later, I got a text from our neighbor Harold. Haven't seen you around. Everything okay? Dana's got some guy over. Thought you should know. I didn't respond. I didn't cry. I just got dressed. That afternoon, I asked Jeff to drive me to the bank. Not the local branch, where they knew us both. Downtown, main office. I need to report financial fraud, I told the woman behind the counter. She glanced at the phone screenshot. Was the account joint? Yes. But the withdrawals happened while I was unconscious. Hospital records can confirm that. Her face didn't change, but I saw something in her eyes. Disgust, maybe pity. We can open a case, she said, but it may be difficult. Joint accounts, I understand. I cut in, do it anyway. That night, I made 3 calls: my dispatcher, medical leave, my credit union, transferred my hidden business funds, Blake, the lawyer friend of Jeff's. I explained everything. He listened. We'll start with the house, he said. It's in your name. That's leverage. Then we look at the money. But first, don't contact her. Let me handle it. Asterisk. Back at Jeff's place, I opened my laptop. I didn't have much strength yet, but I had something stronger than muscle: clarity and receipts. Dana never cared much for the boring parts of our finances. She liked money, not math. She spent. I tracked. She flaunted. I filed, which meant there were whole pieces of our financial life she didn't even know existed. I logged into a separate credit union account, the one I used for small contract gigs. It wasn't much, but it was something, and Dana had never touched it, never even asked about it. Good. Next, I opened my private investment dashboard, a modest portfolio I'd started years ago, mostly out of boredom on long-haul trips. Low risk, slow growth, still intact, and touch. That's when the second message came. Dana, where are you? Your truck isn't at the depot. Did they tell you I came by? No hello, no apology. Just suspicion. Panic. I didn't reply. Dana again. Cameron, this is ridiculous. You can't just disappear. We need to talk about this. I put the phone face down. You gonna answer her? Jeff asked from the kitchen. Nope. That night, I took a walk around the neighborhood. It was quiet, peaceful. For the first time since the hospital, my chest didn't ache. Not physically, anyway. I realized something under those stars. I wasn't broken. I was awake. Dana hadn't just stolen my money. She'd removed the illusion that my marriage meant anything. And with that illusion gone, I felt free. The next morning, I met Blake at his office. He had a stack of legal pads and that same steel-eyed calm I'd admired in truck stop preachers and parole officers. She committed financial exploitation during a time of medical vulnerability, he said. That's not just unethical. In this state, it could be criminal. He reviewed the refinance documents. Since the home's in your name only, that gives us a foothold, but it also makes you a target. I raised an eyebrow. How so? She might claim abandonment, emotional distress, try to paint you as unstable. I laughed. After she robbed me blind, family court isn't always fair, but we'll be ready. He leaned back. Here's the big question. Do you want a divorce? I looked him in the I want war. That afternoon, we filed a motion to freeze the withdrawn funds pending investigation. If the judge approved, Dana wouldn't be able to spend another dime. The next day, Dana showed up at Jeff's house. I heard her car before I saw it, tires crunching gravel. Engine humming too confidently for someone who just committed financial betrayal. I stayed out of sight. She rang the bell, knocked, rang again. Cameron, I know you're in there. Your truck's parked 2 blocks away. I said nothing. Then came the text. I'm sorry about the money. I was angry. You've been distant for months. I thought you were cheating. I panicked when I saw the house refinance. We can work this out. Please talk to me. Cheating. That was projection if I'd ever heard it. I didn't reply. The next day, Blake called. She hired an attorney. He said, Patricia Wells. I stopped breathing for a second. That Patricia Wells, I asked. The one and only. And she's coming out swinging. Already filed a counterclaim accusing you of emotional abandonment and mental instability after the hospital. I rubbed my forehead. Is she serious? As a stroke. They're trying to get ahead of the financial exploitation charge by shifting the narrative. I stared at the wall. So what's next? Discovery. Blake said. We subpoena records. We track the money. We lay everything out. And then we bury them with facts. I called my niece Megan that night. I need your help, I told her, with something specific. She didn't hesitate. Tell me what to do. That weekend, Jeff drove me past our house. Dana's car was there. So was another, a black Audi I didn't recognize. I circled the block, didn't stop. Back at Jeff's, I got a text. And no number. This is Patricia Wells. I represent Dana Doyle. Any further surveillance will be documented as harassment. So they were watching me now. Good. That meant they were scared. 2 weeks after filing, we got our court date, an emergency hearing regarding the funds Dana stole while I was hospitalized. I wore the only suit I owned, a black one, 2 sizes too big, from my father's funeral. Dana wore a cream blazer and a pearl necklace she didn't own 6 months ago. Wonder where that came from. The judge, Harmon, was sharp, old, cranky. My favorite kind. He looked at both sides, then adjusted his glasses. Ms. Wells, did your client withdraw the entire joint account balance while her husband was in the hospital? Wells stood. Yes, Your Honor, but my client had every legal right. She believed the marriage was over. She acted to protect herself financially. Judge Harmon frowned. During a medical emergency, while unconscious, Wells blinked. Dana looked down. The judge nodded slowly. Until we determine rightful ownership, the funds are frozen. Neither party may access them. It wasn't a full win, but it was a warning shot. As we left the courtroom, Dana tried to speak. Wells grabbed her arm and pulled her back. I didn't even glance at her. Blake caught up to me outside. That's just the beginning, he said. Now, we start turning over rocks. And I had a feeling we were about to find a lot of bugs hiding underneath. Asterisk. A week after the court hearing, Blake called me to his office. When I walked in, he didn't say a word, just slid a folder across the desk. Inside a bank statement, Dana's name was on it. So was a number, $127,340. 56. I blinked. What is this? I asked slowly. An account she opened 18 months ago, Blake said. She's been making deposits just under the reporting threshold, every few weeks. All cash. I looked up. Where did this come from? Blake smiled. Your niece Megan. Her internship at the downtown credit union gave her access to internal transaction patterns. She didn't break any laws, just followed the public breadcrumbs. And this account screamed fraud. My mouth went dry. She's been stashing money for a year and a half, Blake nodded. The deposits align with your long-haul schedule. She waits till you're gone, then makes a drop. My fingers tightened around the paper. She wasn't just stealing, I muttered. She was preparing. I don't think she was planning to leave, Blake said. I think she was building a safety net. In case you left her. That hit harder than I expected. Why would I leave? I was working myself into the ground too. Make her life easier. I missed birthdays, funerals, and holidays behind the wheel of a semi. For her, Blake wasn't done. There's more. He slid another paper toward me. A credit card statement. Dana's name again. At the bottom, circled in red, was a charge. Hotel Theodore, Minneapolis. 3 months ago I wasn't even in Minnesota that week. I said. I was in Seattle. Blake tapped the name next to the reservation. Guest, Harold Jensen. Harold. Our neighbor Harold. The guy who warned me about the other man at my house. You're saying Harold was the guy Dana's been seeing? Blake's face was grim. We think they've been involved for a while. The texts, the secret bank account, the hotel stay. It lines up. I couldn't breathe. The betrayal didn't just come from inside my house, it came from next door. While I was dying in a hospital bed, my wife and my neighbor were draining my money, selling off my life, and planning their escape. I stood up. What do we do? Blake didn't flinch. That depends. You want revenge or results? Both, I said. I want to make sure they regret every second of it. We spent the next month building our case. I stayed at Jeff's, recovering, getting stronger. Megan kept digging. Blake kept filing motions. Jeff cooked, checked on me, made bad jokes. It was the first time in years I felt safe. One night, Megan called me with something new. That account Dana opened, she said. It's got another authorized user. My blood went cold. Who? You already know. She said. Harold. He's not listed as an owner, but he's got access. Of course he does. There's more, she said. They've started liquidating small amounts, moving money into new accounts. It looks like they're getting ready to run. I stared out the window. A streetlight flickered. They're getting ready to disappear. Looks that way. I called Blake immediately. We need to move faster. I said. They're slipping. He was already ahead of me. I'm working on a motion for an injunction. We need proof they're about to flee. Something visual. Something irrefutable. The next day, I went back to the house, not to confront, to document. Dana was at work. I walked the property line and took photos. The new shed Harold built last summer. The professional landscaping. The new patio furniture. All paid for during times I was out of state. Improvements made with my money. On my property. I sent the photos to Blake. Caption, documented. 2 days later, Dana's lawyer reached out with a settlement offer. She would return 50% of the withdrawn funds in exchange for 50% of the house. Blake called me, laughing. She's testing us, he said, seeing if we'll fold. What do we say? Nothing. Let them sweat. I wasn't done. I reached out to my old company's HR department. 20 years of trucking came with one benefit. I never thought I'd need a private disability insurance. I'd been paying into it for 2 decades. Turns out, I was eligible for 60% of my salary for up to a year. I filed the paperwork immediately. Another source of income Dana didn't know about. Another card in my hand. A week later, Jeff drove me past the house again. This time, something new. A for sale sign. Not on my lawn. On Harold's. He's running, Jeff said. I nodded. I called Megan. An hour later, she confirmed it. Harold cleared out nearly $90,000, she said. Cashier's checks. 2 days ago. They were getting ready to bolt. I called Blake. We need to act. Now. I'll file for an emergency injunction first thing tomorrow. He said. We'll freeze everything. No property sales without court approval. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Dana. We need to talk. Just you and me. No lawyers. I showed it to Jeff. They're desperate, he said. I nodded. Good. I forwarded it to Blake. He replied instantly. Don't respond. Injunction hearing at p.m. At 1:30. I pulled into the courthouse parking lot. That's when I saw them. Dana and Harold, standing together, arguing. They didn't see me, but I saw enough. I pulled out my phone, started recording. Asterisk. They were standing near the courthouse entrance. Dana and Harold. She was pointing at him. He waved his hands, frustrated. They were arguing intense, close, like a couple unraveling in real time. They didn't notice me standing across the lot. I stayed still, lifted my phone, hit record. 30 seconds. No sound. Just body language. It was all I needed. Inside the courthouse, Blake was already waiting. Tell me you got something, he said. I showed him the video. He smiled for the first time that day. Perfect. Judge Harmon's already irritated. This'll push him over. We headed into the judge's chambers, smaller than the main courtroom. No gallery, just for people and one ticking bomb of a betrayal. Judge Harmon adjusted his glasses. Ms. Wells, he said dryly, your client claims under oath that she has no personal relationship with Mr. Harold Jensen. Is that correct? Wells nodded stiffly. That is what she stated, Your Honor. Blake spoke next, calm, measured, with the precision of a man who knows he's about to win. We have video evidence taken today, minutes ago, outside this courthouse, showing your client in an emotionally charged confrontation with Mr. Jensen, a man who also happens to have access to a secret account where funds were diverted. The judge took the phone, watched the video twice. When he looked up, his eyes were sharp. Ms. Doyle, he said, turning to Dana, are you planning to leave this county with Mr. Jensen? Dana's voice cracked. No, Your Honor. I don't know what you think. Let me rephrase. The judge leaned forward. This court has evidence of financial movement, property sales, large withdrawals, and now a personal relationship with a man assisting in those efforts. During a time when your husband was incapacitated from a cardiac event. Dana opened her mouth. Nothing came out. He turned to the lawyers. I'm freezing all joint and individual assets held by Ms. Doyle and Mr. Jensen. Neither party may sell property, close accounts, or leave the jurisdiction without court approval. Wells started to speak. The judge raised a hand. Silence. This court takes exploitation of medically vulnerable spouses seriously. I'm this close. He held two fingers up to recommending criminal charges. Dana made a choking sound. Blake stayed quiet. Just gave me a nod. We walked out of the chambers and into the hallway. That was a big win, he said. Now we push discovery hard. 2 days later, Dana officially stopped fighting. Her lawyer reached out. Dana would not contest temporary exclusive use of the house. She'd moved out. She left behind a few things: throw pillows, a broken wine rack, and an envelope labeled Cam. Inside, our wedding photo, cut straight down the middle. I didn't react. Just put it in a drawer. 2 weeks passed. I moved back. In alone. I walked from room to room like I was visiting a museum of a life that no longer fit. The fridge still had her organic salad dressings. The closet smelled like her shampoo. But the silence, that was mine now. Blake called again. Megan had found another account. This one was smaller, for around $18,000, but it proved the pattern. Harold's name popped up again. More access. More lies. We had them. Completely. Blake filed new motions. Civil fraud. Property restitution. The works. That same week, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Patricia Wells. Please be advised that any further video recording or following of Ms. Doyle or Mr. Jensen will be considered harassment under state law. So now they were scared. I replied with one word: understood. But I wasn't done. I drove to the house again, Harold's this time. The for sale sign was gone. A week later, Megan confirmed the transaction was frozen by the court. He couldn't sell. He couldn't run. Everything they built on my back was collapsing. The next court date was set for 2 weeks later, a final hearing on asset division. This time, Dana walked in alone. No Harold. No makeup. Hair messy. No pearls. She looked tired. Blake leaned over. She's going to fold. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Asterisk. The hearing room felt colder this time. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was her. Dana sat at the other table, shoulders slouched, wearing the same beige jacket from our last mediation. Only this time it looked too big on her. Or maybe she looked smaller. No Harold. No backup. Just Patricia Wells, shuffling papers like she already knew the outcome. Blake leaned toward me. We've got her surrounded. Let's close the net. Judge Harmon walked in, glasses already on his nose. He didn't waste time. We're here to finalize the division of marital assets between Cameron Doyle and Dana Doyle. He paused. Mr. Doyle has presented sufficient evidence of financial misconduct, asset concealment, and attempted liquidation during a period of medical incapacity. Mrs. Doyle, your counsel has had time to respond. Have you anything to add? Patricia stood. Your Honor, my client would like to express remorse for her actions. She acknowledges her mistakes and is willing to accept a reduced share of assets, as long as she may retain her vehicle and personal belongings. The judge nodded, emotionless. Blake rose. We request exclusive ownership of the marital home, Mr. Doyle's truck, and the remaining joint investments, minus 20%, which may be allocated to Ms. Doyle. He glanced at me. I nodded. The judge turned to Dana. You understand that your access to the previously frozen account will be limited. The court will deduct Mr. Doyle's legal fees before any funds are released. Dana barely nodded. And The secret accounts, Blake stood again. As per financial discovery, the court will divide the hidden account evenly. Mr. Jensen's name, however, disqualifies Ms. Doyle from full claim. His involvement will be addressed in a separate civil motion. Judge Harmon sighed. It is rare to see a case with such blatant disregard for fiduciary trust in marriage. Mrs. Doyle, you took advantage of your husband while he lay near death. That is not just immoral. In some states, it would be criminal. Dana opened her mouth, but he held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. Then came the moment I didn't expect. He turned to me. Double quotes, Mr. Doyle. I commend your restraint, your documentation, your legal process. Your discipline they've all made this court's job easier. I nodded once. That was all I needed. The gavel hit. Case closed. Outside, Blake and I walked in silence toward the steps. The sun was out blinding after so much gray dot at the curb. Dana stood alone. She wasn't crying, but she looked like she could. Or maybe had. I didn't know anymore. She walked toward me, slowly, arms folded. Cam, she said softly, can we talk? Just 5 minutes. I looked at Blake. He stayed back. I let her approach. I made mistakes. She said, I know that. I didn't answer. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Harold made it seem easy, like we'd just start over. I raised an eyebrow. And did you? She looked away. He's gone. Packed up the night you filed that injunction. Haven't seen him since. I believed her. Not that it mattered. You didn't just take my money, I said. You took my peace, my time. You burned every bridge and expected me to swim. I thought you'd never fight back. That part I believed the most. I nodded. That's your mistake. I didn't fight you. I survived you. She flinched. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said. I just needed you to hear it. I stared at her for a moment, then stepped around her and walked to the car. As I opened the door, she called after me. CM. Was any of it real? I paused, my back to her. Yeah, I said, but real things can still rot if you ignore them long enough. Then I got in, closed the door, drove away, back at Jeff's. I handed him a beer and raised mine. Too quiet. Nights, I said, to finally being done. He replied. We drank in silence. Later that evening, Megan stopped by with paperwork. She had one last surprise. This showed up late, she said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a final credit card statement. One last charge. A week before the hospital. Spa package. Couples massage. Name Dana Doyle. Guest Harold Jensen. I laughed. For the first time in weeks, I laughed. Guess he got his money's worth. I said. No, Megan replied. He got your card's worth. Fair enough. I handed it to Blake the next morning. Civil suit? He asked. I shook my head. No. Let her live with it. The silence is worse than a courtroom. He smiled. You're learning. Asterisk. 3 months after the final hearing, I sold the house, not out of spite, out of peace. I didn't need all those walls whispering her name. Every corner reminded me of what she'd done. What they had done. I bought a smaller place. Just enough space for me, a grill, and the silence I'd earned. Jeff helped me move. Megan handled the paperwork. Blake popped champagne. For once, I slept through the night. No text at 2 a.m., no calls from lawyers. No checking my accounts like a man guarding a shrinking lifeboat. Just stillness. And freedom. But fate wasn't quite finished. One Thursday morning, Megan dropped by with her laptop. You need to see this, she said. She turned the screen toward me. It was a legal news article of local court updates, nothing flashy. But halfway down the page, one name hit like a punch to the ribs. Harold Jensen charged with fraud, identity theft, and interstate wire violations. I blinked. What? She clicked into the file. Turns out, Harold didn't just help Dana drain my accounts. He had done it to someone else, too. A widowed client he'd met during a real estate sale 2 years ago. Same pattern, charm, slow integration, secret access, then vanishing funds. But this time, he messed with the wrong person, a woman with 2 sons in federal law enforcement. They traced everything, including transfers connected to Dana's secret account. Blake called me that evening, voice buzzing with energy. We're officially not the only victims, he said. And the feds are getting involved. Does Dana know? Not yet. But she will. I didn't gloat. I didn't cheer. I just sat back on my porch, watching the wind shift, and smiled. The following week, Dana called me. Blocked number. Straight to voicemail. Her voice is smaller than I'd ever heard it. Cam, they came to my office. They froze everything. Harold's been arrested. They said I might be charged, too. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know how far it went. She paused. I'm scared. She ended the message with 2 words I never thought I'd hear. I'm sorry. I didn't call back. The silence said everything. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had Something better. Truth. And consequences. By the end of the month, Dana lost her job. Her name made the local paper. Her attorney dropped her. Harold was denied bail. And the court ordered Dana to repay half of what she'd taken from me or face additional charges as a co-conspirator. She offered me a settlement through a new attorney. I rejected it. Blake smiled when I told him, "You're going to force the full repayment." "No," I said. "I'm donating it." "To who?" "To Megan's law school. Full scholarship fund. In her name." He just stared. "Well," he said, "she helped me stand when I was on the floor." I said, "That deserves more than money." The news reached Dana weeks later. She tried to message again. Another voicemail. Choked voice. "You gave it away. To her." I deleted it. That night, Megan and I sat on the porch of my new place, drinking root beer and talking about what came next. "You ever think about going back on the road?" she asked. I shook my head. "I spent too long chasing miles. Now I want moments like this." I smiled. "Exactly like this." Then she reached into her bag and handed me a thick envelope. "What's this?" "Legal transfer of the scholarship fund. It's official. Megan Doyle Fellowship. For survivors. Financial, emotional, legal, all of it." I stared at it. "You used my name." She grinned. "No, her name." That hit me like a freight train. I laughed out hard. "That's savage. You taught me well." The sun dipped over the trees. I leaned back and let out a long breath. They thought they'd buried me. They didn't know I was a seed. Now I want to ask you. If the person you trusted most betrayed you at your weakest, would you burn it all down or rebuild from the ashes? Let me know in the comments. Asterisk. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought? Or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next adventure. Asterisk.